Hey everyone, it's Catherine with littlebluebarn.net. It's already fall here in Alberta, so I am going to show you how I made this cool canvas sign that says Hello Fall out of just a canvas from the dollar store, some paint, a stencil that you can make on your Silhouette or your Cricut if you have one, and some lath border. I'm going to show you how I also cut the lath border and get it on because I've had a lot of requests on that. I'm also going to tell you what settings I use to cut my stencils out because I've also had a lot of questions on that. So stick with me here and I will show you how I do these. You're going to start with a canvas from the dollar store. This one is $3.50. It's a 12 by 16 canvas. So just get it opened up. And I want to give this a bit of a wood look. So I'm going to use 3 different colors. I'm going to start with black. The color I use is a folk art color and it's called wrought iron. It's one of my favorite blacks because it has a little bit of gray in it. So I'm going to paint the whole thing over with this, and then I'm going to move on to a brown, and then I'm going to do a bit of a gray to give it kind of that barn board type look that I'm going for and to give it nice lines. This is my first coat of paint here. I'm gonna let it dry a bit and then I'm gonna move on and do the gray, the brown, and then I'm gonna do the gray on top. So gray is next. You only need a little tiny bit of the gray to go over top. It's just to bring out accents. And quite often I'll mix some of the colors together to get the exact color that I want. I've got my board to where I like it, so I'm going to let this dry and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how I cut my stencil. So I still have my stencil on my Silhouette mat. I just purchased the Silhouette mat. It cuts the stencils way better than using my longer Cricut mat with my Silhouette. So when I cut my stencils, I always cut a line, I do a box around them so that it cuts everything out and I can just take it right off. I've already peeled off the excess. And then I can stick it right on my paper. So this is coming off quite nicely. When you peel these, if you have, if it curls up or anything like that, or your paper's ripping, usually it just means that your mat is too sticky. That happens quite often when you have a brand new one. This one, as soon as I got it, I took one of my husband's t-shirts and I laid it down on it and picked it up and laid it down and kind of moved it around and picked it up. So the lint on the shirt kind of takes away the stick. So that is a good option if you're having troubles with sticking or any pulling. So just be careful when you're taking it off that it doesn't rip. It's cut quite nicely. The setting I used on this is I used the plain cardstock setting, but I changed it a little bit. So I used plain cardstock. I did a speed of 7. I did a thickness of 30. I used an auto blade and I changed my depth to 5. I like to do it a little bit deeper just so I make sure I get a good cut, especially through the tape, because I do a tape line to connect 2 pieces of paper together to get the longer signs if they're over 12 inches. So those are the settings I used. So that is plain cardstock, speed of 7, thickness of 30, and depth of 5. And that's just with the auto blade. This is how my stencil came up. I'll put it on here so you can see a little bit better. It came out really well. I've got only 2 dots that stayed behind that I just need to pick out. And it's ready to go here. Right now I'm just taping down all the sides of my stencil because I don't want them to lift and I don't want to accidentally get my letter paint on the background. So make sure just to tape all around it. I go through quite a bit of tape in my house. Also, cosmetic sponges are what I recommend for doing your lettering for stenciling. In some of my other videos, you can also see how I do that a little bit more in depth. So just put some of the paint. I'm using, it's another folk art one. It's called Parchment. So I'm using that for my words in this one. It's kind of like a cream color. So just dab dab off the excess and just go around the whole thing. You're going to want to do about 2 or 3 times. Go very lightly because you don't want it to run underneath of your paper. If you're finding that you're having runs, it's probably because you're laying it on a little bit too thick and it's running under, or your paint is watered down, or there's something wrong with it. But if you go dab really lightly and quick and just hold down around where you're doing, you should be good to go. I've done 3 coats of paint here, and I'm just about to peel this off, but I wanted to show you. So just take all the tape off. Make sure to peel it off before the paint dries. Oh! That was a disaster. Peel it off before the paint dries so it doesn't stick to the canvas or a board if you're using a board. So this is how it looks after you're done stenciling. You can go ahead and do any touch-ups. I did have a little bit of a run down on my F here. The stencil probably lifted up a little bit. I was doing this quite quickly. And then if you like, you can fill in all the little cut lines from when you made your stencil. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that just with my fine tip paintbrush. I'm very happy with this. I got all my lines filled in and it's ready to be framed. So I gotta go pick my daughter up from school and then we'll get going on the frame. Okay, we're headed out to the shop here to get some lath border cut. There's my worker man.
Hey. Turn that stupid camera on.
We're out in the shop here and I'm gonna show you guys how I cut my borders out of the lath. We've had lots of questions about this. So this is what the pointed lath looks like. It comes in bundles of 50 at your local hardware store. It cost me about $35 to buy a 50 pack and it's just bundled all together. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get your sign, in this case our canvas, and you're gonna measure from the top to the bottom. So we're 16 inches here. Like I said, it's a 12 by 16 canvas. So we're gonna cut those 2. And then we're gonna add on the widths that it adds to that when we do the bottom one. So let's just get these 2 cut and then I'll measure and figure out how big I need my top and bottom piece to be with the other lath on the side. And then I'm gonna sand them and stain them. After you get the lath cut, I always give it just a quick sand and then we'll take it out to our staining station. Follow me!
Okay, so make sure you wear proper safety gear when you're staining. I always wear a mask just so I'm not inhaling it, and some protective gloves. So you just go ahead, give it a quick coat of stain, and then wipe it off. And you check out our cool dog bed over here. If you don't have a good area to stain in, you can get a water-based stain that doesn't smell that you can use in the house. And it has easy water cleanup. I don't use that often. It doesn't have as nice of a look. And it's quite a bit more expensive at my local country store. We're going to bring these into the barn and we're going to get them all nailed onto our canvas now.
So now that I have all my lath borders cut, sanded, and stained, it's time to nail them on. I like to set the board, or the canvas in this case, up a bit so that I have a little bit of a lip on the front and a little bit on the back. It's nice to have a lip on the back for hanging. So I'm going to nail this all on and then we'll be done. Now that the borders are on the sign, it looks awesome. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial, and I hope you make one for yourself. It's so cool to be able to use canvas. I've always wondered how hard it was to use for making signs, and actually I have a sign class coming up where I have 27 people coming to make this sign, as well as another one that says thankful. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to keep up to date on all of our videos coming up here, and you can look at all of our past videos. We have lots of really cool tutorials and DIY and answers to your questions. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'm happy to help you with any of your problems you might be having. Or if you want to just drop me a quick line of encouragement, that's welcome as well. Don't forget to check us out over at littlebluebarn.net. That is my blog, and I will be updating it more and more as the winter progresses and as I'm inside a little bit more. So hope you guys enjoy your fall, and stay tuned for some more cool videos.